It's Jaji.
It's a new era. It's a new era. It's a new era. It's new. It's new. It's a new era. Welcome back to another episode of Fallout. It's Jaji here. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And we have a doozy for you today. So I just got finished watching Saturday night's main event, and honestly, it's a mixed bag of mid. It wasn't so much the action tonight, it was more so the final result of things. You know, with the exception of, funny enough, the opening match, the rest of the card was missing that desirable outcome. So without further ado, let's get right into the episode because we have quite a bit to unpack. So this opening match, like many other encounters on Friday Night SmackDown, weren't really the highlights of their rivalry. The WWE did well with kind of teasing that Charlotte and Rhea friction, but ultimately they ended up teaming up pretty well. They ended up hitting a DX chop, which ended up looking fantastic. I was all here for it. But unfortunately, that was also their downfall. See, as they were distracting and celebrating, hitting their little DX chop, Jade decided to take advantage of that. She came in, hit Rhea, and hit the Jaded and got the 1-2-3 on her. Now again, the actual action in this match, funny enough, although this match was the only one of the night that had the desirable outcome, it was probably the least exciting match of the night. But it did tell me this, and it should have told you the same thing. It told us that at Clash in Italy, Rhea Ripley is most likely going to retain her championship. Jade took advantage of her and got the upper hand on Friday. Then she won the match on Saturday night's main event. Typically, the way things go, they always give the losing party the upper hand going into the match. I don't know if that's written in Wrestling Bible for things to go that way, but if you look at the patterns, that's exactly what happens each and every time. And also, they're not going to put Jade over Mommy 3 times in a row. I find that very hard to believe. Of course, it's not a WWE event without a few segments, right? But I actually like this one. Again, it was simply Kathy Kelly backstage interviewing Ethan Page, and he was promoing and pretty much endorsing himself for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, again, he's a classic heel, all ego Ethan Page. This man has all the potential in the world, and the promo was great for what it was, which was a get me over. Now, this next segment actually I found pretty interesting because Kathy Kelly was backstage talking to Sol Ruca now, and she moves pretty fast, by the way. And Sol Ruca mentioned the key phrase that made my ears kind of perk up. She had mentioned how the new generation is here. I love this. Again, this is the WWE leaning into their new stars, paying attention to what we want. And although the rest of the night showed quite opposite, at least in the moment within this segment, it was great to hear a young up and comer speak with confidence rather than like as if they were a rookie, which in Ruka's case she is. Of course, that was the introduction to the Becky Lynch versus Sol Ruca match. And of course, we have Becky Lynch, I'm the best in the world, and it's not just me saying it, it's Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, and the rest of the world saying it. So they begin their match, and one thing I found interesting was that the title wasn't on the line. So that made me think right there, what's gonna be the finish to this? Because obviously, this isn't the end of the rivalry. It just started, and I'm pretty sure Becky Lynch wants to get the most out of her rivalry with a young gun such as Sol Ruca. Well, I guess we can call that foreshadowing because Sol Ruca ended up taking the win, but not exactly how you thought. See, she ended up winning by disqualification after Becky continues her rivalry with referee Jessica Carr by dragging her right in front of Sol Ruca as she gets ready to go ahead and hit the Soul Snatcher. Now, this was the beginning of a certain trend tonight, and that trend was, although they say they're leaning into their newer stars, and in all fairness, they have recently on episodes of Raw and SmackDown, tonight wasn't that. See, while Ruka ended up taking the win, Becky left with her championship, but the next segment actually brought a development to the story. See, afterwards, Sol Ruca, Adam Pearce, and Becky Lynch are seen backstage, and Adam Pearce is absolutely livid. He says, Becky, you can't keep getting away with stuff like this. So you know what? At Clash in Italy next Saturday, you're going to be putting your Intercontinental Championship on the line against Sol Ruca. And she was livid, but everybody was excited, smiling ear to ear. Why? Because I feel like this Saturday, Sol Ruca might be winning the Intercontinental Championship. With what has happened tonight, and we'll discuss it with the rest of the card, I firmly believe that this card was another ending to the story, another transition pay-per-view in the sense of, you know what, it's a B pay-per-view. Let's go ahead and develop storylines and give the veterans their win. And then on the big stage, we're going to go ahead and give their rookies their shine. Why do I say that? Because of the next match we're going to be discussing, which is the Intercontinental Championship match between Penta and Ethan Page. One thing that I love that the WWE started doing, and they did this with the WWE Tag Team Championships as well, is they're starting to include promo packages, not for the matches, not for the superstars involved, but for the championships themselves. I love this. It's adding another level of prestige to each title. It's giving the younger viewers a little bit of information. Not everybody loves to go back and do their research on the lineage of each and every championship, let alone one that you're not putting the effort in to make us care. So while these promo packages are looked as just that, a promo, I see something bigger in that the creative team are now putting an emphasis on making each and every championship look as prestigious as possible, not just the World Heavyweight and WWE titles. Next, we get into Ethan Page versus Penta for the Intercontinental Championship match, and quite frankly, this was the best match of the night. This has to be stated. High flyers and technical wrestlers put on some of the best but most underrated matches. You know, a guy like a Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio, they won't put those matches at the top of a card to main event. But hell, when those matches are on a card, those are typically some of the most interested, most innovative and creative matches on the card. And this was exactly that. To begin the match, they had a few great back and forths, and Ethan Page pulled the classic heel move when he attempted to remove all of the turnbuckles off of each and every corner of the ring, and it actually reminded me of 2K. I definitely think he got that move off of 2K. And another great sequence, but almost fatal for Penta in his career, you can say. As they're on the top turnbuckle, Ethan Page is getting ready to give him a avalanche pump handle slam, and in the midst of that, Page almost pulls Penta's mask too much, and you can start seeing his hair get exposed. And I thought for a moment there that we were getting ready to see a blackout or Penta unmasked. But ultimately, despite Ethan's best efforts to go ahead and win that IC championship, Penta retained with a beautiful springboard Mexican Destroyer for the 1-2-3 win. And while I'm not angry at the final result, again, part of what was making this PLE exciting for me was the thought of the young talent going over tonight. There was a real possibility of Paige going over. I would have believed if Ruca would have taken the championship from Becky if those titles were on the line. And we'll get into the results for the other two matches in a few minutes. So while admittedly I can't be angry at Penta winning, I have to be honest in saying I think Ethan Page should have gone over. Penta's a great wrestler. He's one of the hottest acts in the WWE today, and he's going to continue to be that. But we could have done with a little back and forth between Paige and Penta with the IC title. I honestly think things would look a little more interesting with the title around Paige's waist. I don't know. There's just something about him that screams champion over Penta. Penta's giving me... there's a certain limit to him. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on Penta's IC title reign so far. Or do you think Ethan Page is ready to take that championship from Penta and run with it? Let me know. Kathy Kelly seen backstage with Paige and Nikki Bella, and I like this segment for one reason and one reason only. They mentioned Nikki Bella and the fact that Paige isn't supposed to be here. What this is telling me is that the WWE might actually be leaning into that Nikki versus Paige feud when she comes back from injury. Again, this isn't something that's going to be main eventing a PLE or plastered all over the news. However, again, it's going to do great for reminding the WWE Universe exactly who Paige is and what she can bring to the ring. Again, they have to give her some type of story, some type of connection to the newer crowd. They can't just bring Paige in and say, oh yeah, she's a former Divas champion, the youngest Divas champion ever, and expect everybody to care. The world just doesn't work that way. Logically, that leads to the actual match. And a few minutes into the bout, there's only one thing going through my mind. How the hell aren't Lash Legend and Nia Jax absolutely running through the women's division today? Man, these two women look colossal. I understand that Paige and Brie aren't necessarily the biggest humans in the world, but man, Lash Legend and Nia Jax look like two uber athletes that should be running amok. They should be tag team champions. They should be solo champions. I'm actually interested to see what comes of Lash Legend's career after this entire Nia Jax partnership, because she looks just as good as Trick Williams. If you know, you know. Anyways, you get some nostalgia pops as Brie gets tagged in. It's nice to hear the yes chant in a WWE crowd in 2026. There were actually a few creative spots within the match. While it wasn't anything to write home about, I really like Lash Legend and Nia Jax finishing move. It seems Lash Legend would put their opponent into a bear hug, and Nia Jax would go from the top turnbuckle and hit a leg drop. Man, that looked devastating and creative, as you saw Brie's body just looking lifeless in the middle of the air, hanging there waiting for Nia and her 250 plus pound body just to destroy her. After the back and forth, Paige and Brie end up taking a lucky win. See, Paige ends up going for a roll-up pin on Nia Jax, and she gets a little assist from Brie. See, she ends up putting her foot right on Nia's behind, giving Paige a little extra leverage. They get the 1-2-3 win and retain their tag team championships. Again, this was a match where I'm not so much disappointed in the in-ring action. I'm more so disappointed in the result. I can understand Penta keeping his IC title. He's hot right now. Everybody's behind him. Ethan Page still has room to grow. However, Nia Jax and Lash Legend should have absolutely gone over tonight. They look dominant and they're ready for their title run. They've been a tag team for how many months now? Lash Legend, she knows her way around the ring. You can tell she's ready for a championship run. And Paige and Brie, you can continue to work that storyline without a title. Paige and Brie are big enough superstars to where just their presence alone, for now, will do until Nikki returns. And then they're going to get a little more added importance once Nikki comes in with a little jealousy persona. So overall thoughts, the win was creative. I was rooting for Lash Legend and Nia Jax, and I'm hoping they're just saving a title win for Clash in Italy or somewhere down the line. I ran a poll and 99.9% of you guys said you got it. Another segment. Now this one was preparing us for the main event of the night. You have the Vision with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman spits his usual shtick, hyping everybody up. But one thing that I really love is the continued growing chemistry between Austin Theory and Logan Paul. You even have Austin Theory finishing Paul's sentences. And again, I understand the YouTuber hate for Logan Paul, but other than that, these two are a great tag team that if they weren't supposed to be playing heels, I would 110% be behind. These guys have the look, the charisma, the attitude, and they can wrestle. We'll actually get into that when it comes to their match tonight. But them boys look ready for the prime time, and they are in relative prime time position when it comes to tag teaming. This is actually making me a little more intrigued for when they do break them up. Who's gonna be the heel? Who's gonna be the babyface? And I'm just excited for the potential of both of them. I know you guys aren't the biggest Austin Theory and Logan Paul fans, but like it or not, they're going to be key cogs for the foreseeable future. We now have the main event of the evening. We have the Street Profits versus the Vision for the WWE Tag Team Championship. And you knew this was special because we had Lillian Garcia come out in her beautiful dress to announce the wrestlers of the night. I'm pretty sure you guys are starting to catch on. As I mentioned in every episode, I'm a big attention to detail guy. I love the small things, such as
when they were announcing the Street Profits, they had put a little graphic that read challengers before putting the Street Profits graphic. Then when they were announcing Logan Paul and Austin Theory, they used the champions graphic. And that's something that the WWE hasn't done in the past that I feel like it adds to the product. Again, it's not the biggest thing in the world, who cares? But to me, it just makes things look, it takes things to another level. As Logan Paul and Austin Theory are actually walking in, all you see are a bunch of fire Logan Paul signs. And it's hilarious because they start ripping each and every one of them as they're walking down the ramp. That was actually really fun to see. It plays into their braggadocious, their cocky, their I don't care if you don't like me attitude and persona. I don't see how you guys aren't loving this. In the middle of the match, reminding everybody, almost giving them that DX-esque vibe. You had Logan Paul in the position of Shawn Michaels with a little... And you had Theory in the position of Triple H, which I can actually see him growing into a Triple H type of superstar in the sense of being that guy who fights the guy to sell the tickets. Now, the match does start off slow, and at first I'm thinking, oh boy, here comes another WWE shit show. Excuse my language. But no, actually that slow start should have told me everything I needed to know from the beginning. As a true WWE historian, I should know that these slow starts usually mean that there's going to be a natural progression towards a quicker pace. And boy, did that happen. You had Street Profits chase the Vision from outside who wanted to walk out with their championships and quit on the match. Then you had a beautiful enziguri performed by Angelo Dawkins. And man, I knew he was athletic, but I did not know that that big boy could get up like that. When I tell you that that enziguri was a masterpiece, it was exactly that. You should go back and watch that match just for that spot there. And while individually they were putting together great performances, the Street Profits themselves show that they still have a little bit of ring rust to shake off. They performed a weird, I don't even know what to call it. They took Austin Theory and Montez Ford essentially tossed Theory into the air. Dawkins pushed Austin Theory right back to Ford, and Ford gave him kind of like a shoulder bump clothesline type of thing. I don't know what it was, and you can tell that not even the announcers knew what it was because Michael Cole immediately was like, that was not the prettiest move ever performed. And you obviously knew it wasn't going to be a Vision match without some type of interruption. See, I actually thought Seth Rollins was going to come out to somehow help the Street Profits win the tag team championships and seek some type of revenge against the Vision, but the exact opposite happened. Braun Breaker came out and he was gonna pull his usual running spear, and in the middle of that, Angelo Dawkins comes and just tosses him over the announce table. My natural reaction was, holy shit. It's not every day you see a 260, 270 pound man get tossed like a piece of paper over an announce table. That was incredible, especially considering Braun Breaker's just coming back from injury. So I'm actually surprised that they brought him out essentially just to do that spot. With the interception by Dawkins on Braun Breaker, that gave Montez Ford time to gain momentum in the ring. And just when you thought they were about to pull out a win, the Oracle Paul Heyman interrupts. Because why not? This of course causes a complete reversal of fortune as Logan Paul brings out his signature brass knuckles, hits Tez with them, tosses him back in the ring, takes care of Angelo Dawkins, and Austin Theory takes the 1-2-3 win. Now when I said with the exception of the first match, all of the results were terrible, I lied. This match was freaking amazing. For a tag team match, it had everything you wanted. It had the slow pace to fast paced build up. It had a back and forth. Things were taken to the outside of the ring. You had a few interruptions and you had an exciting ending. That's exactly what you want out of your tag team match if it's going to be main eventing your PLE. Now, while the baby faces didn't quite come out on top, I do think that the right men did take the win. Why? The Street Profits still have a little bit of developing to go. I feel like with this loss, you're going to see Montez Ford start to soften his stance up on teaming with Seth Rollins. Now, Jaji, what makes you believe that? Well, I'm glad you asked. As the Vision are walking out with their championships, heads held high, looking stronger than ever, they turn back to the ring and they decide that things aren't over. Braun runs back into the ring and he says, you know what? I'm gonna take my spear back. He spears Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. And I'm thinking in my head, all right, this is it. This is when Seth Rollins comes out. And kapooey. Nothing. The PLE ends with the Vision holding up their hands, standing tall. I'm a fan of Austin Theory and Logan Paul. I'm not mad at that result. But it's just a lot of anticlimactic endings in this PLE tonight. The in-ring action, I'll give it an 8 because each and every superstar did put on a show, with the exception of the opening match. But it's just the final result, the lack of leaning into that new generation, as they're saying. It's showing that the WWE is scared to pull the trigger. And with the way a lot of us fans are handling the product today, I don't think that that's the best place to be in. I don't think that that's the best stance to take. And if I'm them, I'd take the Clash in Italy to fully usher in the new era, as Triple H says. Because if they don't, I wholeheartedly believe AEW is going to begin taking a lot of the attention away. Now, the WWE is the WWE. They will never go anywhere. However, that doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of older fans, and when I say older, I'm going to say 18 up, who are yearning for just a little bit more. And the WWE keep teasing that little bit more with the Rucas, with the Femis, with the Paiges. But if they don't fully lean into them, you're going to see an already impatient crowd disperse to a program that's going to give them exactly what they want. So again, this was a mid-pay-per-view. If you're a fan of wrestling, it's a decent watch. I'd go ahead and watch it back. But if you're somebody who's in it for the storylines and the belief in the future, this wasn't for you. This was more so a BPLE and more of a block builder than a ticket seller. So thank you so much for watching, guys. My name is Jaji. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment, you share with a friend, and have that friend share with a friend, and you hit the little notification bell to all so you can catch each and every upload daily. That's right. We upload daily, and it's not just wrestling content, it's music content, it's baseball content, and it's overall body cam footage. So anything that you're interested in, best believe Jaji has for you. So once again, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Fallout. Make sure you go ahead and catch episode 4, reviewing the May 22nd episode of SmackDown, and make sure you pay attention to Monday Night Raw's episode coming on Tuesday. It's a new era. Jaji, out.
Thanks for watching. Let me know what you'd like to watch next.